Hello everybody and welcome to AIConf USA 2025, reporting from Seattle, Washington, where to close up this first day before we do the running passport thing, I have a very special set of interviews or conversations that we're going to have with my amigos Jonathon Wright and Jason Arbon. Super happy to have them here and together like a big prize 2-1. So
like Voltron. Yeah. Wait till later when we join up.
As long as not assembly starts to happen. But before we get on to the fun, would you mind introducing yourselves? What do you do? What makes you special?
So I'm Jason Arbon. I did this book called How Google Tests with James Whitaker, and it was all about how we tested the something little app called Google Search. Since that, I've been
pretty simple. Just text box and a button.
Text box, and you can break it. Triple click it.
There were two
It breaks. Two buttons.
Super complex.
If it was 3, Jason would have left.
But you're not lucky, so you never tried that one.
Exactly. And then I created this company called test.ai and brought the king into the lab. That was fun. Google wanted it back. And then now I've got testers.ai. So you guys need to make sure you go to your website and type in testers.ai now to sign up for your completely free trial. So I'll see you on the other side. Cool. Jonathan?
Sounds like it's your turn, Jonathan.
Yeah, so I'm Jonathon Wright, and I spend a lot of time at conferences taking pictures of me presenting at conferences and making those slides. I also work at what's that little company?
No
Some little
idea.
startup. But they have like the actual best AI technologies on the planet. They even do like literally like quantum computing testing and infrastructure for that. But I don't really understand it that well, and I don't really evangelize it very well because I'm just really basically repeating whatever is the hot topic of the day. Yeah, and I like to go to dinner at conferences, and then dinner the next day.
And drinks.
Yeah. And drinks. Yeah,
And drinks.
Yeah,
And hang out with my friend Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
Geek out. Geek out with
Geeked
Jason.
out for 4
Yeah,
hours
and-
yesterday.
4 hours, yeah.
That prompts an interesting question because, Jonathan, I heard that you are a big connoisseur, especially yesterday, of all the cocktails available in places, right?
We ordered all the cocktails and then were shortly thrown out of the restaurant due to my
Splashy experience?
Splashy experience.
I heard I had spies. Within 5 minutes, something was spilled.
There was a lot of spillage.
And then I heard that the floor is
Keep
wet
this
sign.
PG-13.
Yes,
Yeah.
I touched.
YouTube,
Never
guys.
touched.
Floor is wet sign was moved closer and closer to you and away from the waiter.
I
I wasn't
blame Jana and Melissa, right? Because they were the ones that was causing all the problems, and they have been at the conference, right?
They're not here to represent themselves, so.
I think they are. They've been doing a vibe coding. Are you in for this vibing?
What do you think of this vibing thing? Because I want some perspectives of you two. What can happen? Is it good? Is it better? Is it not so good?
I can't remember who I am now, but
You're
Which
Jason
one?
again. Yeah, Jason now.
he had
Back to
a,
normal role.
yeah, he had a talk. Jonathan had a talk saying vibe coding is dangerous or something, to be provocative.
Yeah, the dark side of
Dark side of
the
of
dark
vibe
side of vibe coding. I think that's the developer fallout, right? So 2021, 2022, Copilot, GitHub, Cursor, all the normal ones, they started dropping and people started utilizing them. And there was a lot of engineers, I think, that were not using the same muscle memory and flexing that as much because they were leaning into vibe coding as a discipline, which I kind of partially was like, is it sustainable to do that?
I think he's saying muscle memory, but so many of them,
Critical thinking.
not
I wasn't
even
paying
muscle. There was no muscle yet, and they were already like trying to lift up those weights. And I feel that
Yeah.
that's kind of like the problem.
But Jason has the
okay,
other
Jason
side.
is already
You
kind
already have the
of
other
give
side,
us your
don't you?
perspective, amigo.
Yeah, it's just called the future of coding. Like, and like everyone, if you just go back through all the conferences, when the next thing that's going to be big in a few years comes out, everyone's like, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It's probably not as good as me or the way I do it today. And they're almost always wrong. But the weird thing is, they never admit that they were wrong originally. They're just right when they decide to be part of it. So, but no, I think it's the future. I can't imagine programming in terms of vibe coding. I can't imagine. Like, I don't think it's vibe coding. I think it's just it's a coding assistant, and I get stuff done like far faster. And I don't even, and I just, it does things that I even wouldn't have been able to do or wouldn't have had the patience to do. So it's super accelerating. And then on the testing side, I was just in the Vibe lab with Melissa, hanging out for a little while. But I think on the testing side, it's very similar, because guess what it is? It's really testers going, how do I use AI to figure out how to accelerate my testing? And they're still in this different stages of denial, right? A lot of, actually, that's can I say this thing?
Yeah. That's
A lot of the conversations at the conference, like if I was on the other side of the camera, is what I want to know. A lot of the people, they're vendors, ISVs, and these kind of tool maker kind of company people, are, especially in the testing world, specifically testing, people are scared of it. Like a lot of developers are scared of vibe coding, but testers even more scared because they don't know how to, often they don't know how to code, or don't consider themselves experts anyway. And so it's far more likely the vibe testing can do what they do. So people are feeling very threatened by it. So we went from like last time we were talking, where people were like, I don't know, they're kind of, I call it AI curious. The pendulum swung to where people are going like, oh, now I want to engage, I want to know what it is, I'll try it out. But the pendulum is swinging so fast, faster than I thought. It's swinging to the point now where people are going like, oh, that's actually legit. And how do I hide and keep this out of my organization? Because it's threatening my job. And off camera, you might ask me the same. People are asking me, how much longer do I have? That's actually the question people are asking. And it's a difficult question. And very
not so long, because it's already happening in many places. We have heard all the Microsoft things going on, and many have fell from that pendulum that you mentioned. Like, yeah, it went too far, and sorry, but we're pushing the limits. But I like as well your perspective, because it's not as fatalistic, like, no, embrace it. You just reminded me of the first times that SDKs started to come with, you type the period on the object, and then you have all the methods. And some purists were like, oh, that's gonna spoil developers, and it's gonna be, it's exactly, it's exactly the same, right?
Same analogy, exact same analogy.
And I think it's the same, right? Is you've got agent development kits coming through, right? In that same kind of way, where you're going to start seeing this just being consumed, right? And I think that's where, like, AI Foundry, Microsoft's announcement last week or the week before, just a mile or 2 blocks across on Pike Street, was this stuff is now real and it's ready to go. Now, there's an interesting aspect of this is there's two sides, right? We've just talked about, in essence, augmentation, right? Augmenting the human. And I think what we're also seeing, I think that's the bit which I think people are really scared about, is then augmenting the workforce, just AI workforce replacement. And that's where
No, replacement or augmentation?
Well, this is the interesting thing, because, this buzzword, which I've just unfortunately thrown out, this agentic idea, is about coordination of agents and really isn't aimed at taking testers' jobs. It's taking people who are doing really low value jobs, which is why we've seen 7,000 cuts and all these kind of big numbers being thrown out, and apparently Amazon's similar things are happening. It's improved in efficiency, and they're realizing, well, did we really need to put that in a spreadsheet and then put it something else? If you think about it, forget the software development lifecycle, which we're all in. This is just a tiny part of business, and that's why I think when we say agentic, we're not really getting too excited about stuff. We're saying it's automation. It's automation of doing repeatable jobs that you don't need people to do, right?
The BS jobs, those ones I think that are also going to be picked up on some level, because are the ones that are repeatable, or that, like...
No. So this is why this is what gets me worked up. This is why we have really good conversations in the bar. Is that the irony is that, and Tim knows this. Shout out to Tim. But like,
we have an audience out here.
But
hello. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
There's some claps going in there.
Only when you call his name. But it's actually the complete opposite. I'll say this thing I said.
Just bring
a couple
the
years ago
perspective.
with you. No, most of the testing work is just not that interesting. Yep. Most development work is actually not that interesting. It's, you go, you can see what you're going to have to build in your mind, and you have to code it out, right? And you have to test it and refactor it 3 times or whatever. But the reality is that the AI can do all the things that people think are soft skills that are human skills. Oh, this is what makes me special or different. The problem is most coders and testers are doing the basic stuff, like the boring stuff all the time. AI is actually better at like emulating the user, at asking like, what is the business context for this code I'm working on? It is smarter. GPT out of the box. Everyone goes, oh, it doesn't have enough context. It knows a lot about the business world. It knows if you're working on a mobile app to post pictures on a social network, it knows everything written about Instagram, everything about Facebook, everything. It knows all this stuff. Like, so it has more context. The problem is, see, I'm getting a little worked up, but the problem is that testers and developers don't think that big. So they don't even ask the questions of the AI to elicit the sophisticated response. And they don't want it to work. So they ask it to do their little chores. Right? It's
Are you saying that this kind of
instead
like
of
some
actually just do the job?
bias to sabotage some of these things because of
Absolutely,
this worry or?
I think. Well, I
No, I
think.
don't know what you mean.
So you.
Yeah, because if they are worried
Yeah.
about they are not allowing it to go as far as it could, or they are scared in the deep beneath, and probably it's like
This isn't just us. Like, it's not just me. Like, if you listen to all the heads and CEOs, by the way, they're worth a lot of money. They have a lot of money. They're building the things. They're testing the next versions. They might know a little bit more than the average engineer about what's coming next. But somehow, all of us individuals are walking around thinking we know something that they don't, or they're wrong, or it's a fad, or something. We're totally wrong, but we don't even want it to work. So they're like you said, I guess you're saying is they're biased against it working. And we actually see that in a lot of demos and talks where people are just frustrated with AI or can't count the number of R's in Strawberry. Like, dude, it can do so many amazing things and better than them most of the time, but they won't ask it because they don't want to hear the answer. That's where we're at right now in industry. It's a little concerning.
It's funny because earlier we were having a conversation on what areas are safe from AI or like not safe. I don't think it's I'm showing my bias there. And we were like crowd testing, like would you still need like the grandparent or the baby touching the app and saying like
you can tell ChatGPT you are a
act
baby.
as a baby.
You're a 5-year-old baby, and how would you use this thing? Try it.
Give it a try as a baby,
facial
yeah.
hair. Looks like you.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely true. I think part of it is what I liked about Jason saying AI curious. I think there is a fear. There's a AI. There's like we saw.
I love it that it's the first person in these interviews that is like, no, push, no fear, no worry, like more, right? Embrace it.
And then there's only going to be a few people standing. And this is what we've said a few times. It's like, if you're not embracing this, right? And so last week we were at Eurostar, and it was AI on trial. And that was exactly the feeling we've seen for the last year, is it's on trial. And people are worried, right? They're concerned, and there's a lot of negative and positive viewpoints on it. There's a lot of maybe over.
I feel that we are way beyond the trial
and then
now.
There's a lot of people over-emphasizing
but it's
the
not.
bad.
Real quick, that's the milquetoast response.
Exactly,
so you want to keep your followers on
Yeah.
Facebook and GeoCities.
Yeah.
No,
It's dealing with absolutes, right? Which we kind of saying isn't the case.
But no. But I think that if you look at where everything is trending, if you just use a math, you just extrapolate from the curves, which have been pretty predictable the last 3 years, by the way. It's an exponential curve up and to the right in terms of intelligence imbued in these machines. It's going to be. Humans do not understand exponential growth, and it is growing exponentially. Like, people go they think I'm this Mr. AI person or something. Every time I wake up, I look at YouTube and it's like 10 developments this week in AI. I can't even keep up. And I actually, I did the other day, quick, literally just five days ago, because I'm going like, I don't know about this. Not skeptical, but like, holy crap, how this is crazy. I typed in the description of my business and a high-level description of my code that I write for work into a thing called Manus. Have you played with Manus? manus.com. Anyway, if you type in, it's just like I'm not a pitch for that. Basically, it's a chatbot that does a lot of workflow for you. So it does long-running tasks, and so you can ask it to write a book for you, and guess what it does? It writes a book, but it breaks it out into sub things. You can build chapters and whatever. Because I was too lazy to write it. People ask, "Will you write a book again?" I'm like, "It'll be out of date by the time I finish." So I asked Manus to write me a book. But the real thing is, I put in a description of my company, and I said, "Hey, automatically, like look at a website, figure out what to test, generate tests, execute them. Tim will like this. And it tried, but it didn't do it. At best, it got to specifications of tests and test plans. But someday I'm going to wake up myself, and I'll say it's maybe next year. It's probably September, and it will actually build a product. And so these things are getting exponentially better. So anyone that thinks they understand it, even the experts, are constantly being surprised.
Yeah.
And I'll say the last thing I get worked up about. For testing and engineering, most of that work doesn't require 160 IQ, to be frank. You're calling APIs or you're clicking a button somewhere. And the AI already surpassed that level of intelligence like a year ago. Yep. So I actually find this for testing work and automation work, I actually don't use the reasoning models because they overthink. Yep. They start to do critical thinking. And they just think too much about.
That, Jana?
Yeah. They think too much instead of just getting the test done and making it simple and repeatable and clean code. So it's already here. The future is over that. The future is already here. It's just not distributed evenly.
And I think it's you make a really good
but
point.
The model's already at that point.
Yeah.
The growth of it is now magnitudes every step that it does, and the point that you're making, like by September probably, because the cycles in which we see changes happening are getting smaller. You wake up one day and you're having a hard time catching up with what's new. Yep. So much is being new. I'm starting to wonder, what is going to happen, even in your best efforts on a not daily basis but hourly basis. Yep. Things start to change. Yep. This is growing exponentially, and again, you got me thinking, what would be exponential? Oh damn, it's gonna.
So I'll share with you my. Okay, we've talked about this. I'll let loose a little.
Yeah, you can let it go.
Yeah,
go for it.
Is that I think pretty soon within the testing space, what I think about a lot about stuff, is there will be. I don't want to give a timeline. Soon, there'll be There'll be one or two companies or machines, not virtual machines, agents, teams of agents that will do 80% of the testing, just 80% of it. And this is it's going to happen. In fact, it could happen if people wanted to adopt it today. Yep. They're just resistant. So I think that's going to happen. So I think the survival tactic is actually grab as much bacon as possible before there's no more bacon to be had. And the other thing is the AI is it's dropped by orders of magnitude in price. We just saw a talk.
Those are decreasing as well.
Yeah, we just saw a talk where Johnny, for his PhD thing, is calculating how much a different approach costs in terms of test execution time, in terms of LLM cost, right? But he's comparing 4 cents versus 6 cents versus 9 cents. And I turned to
it's like Jenna. The sigmas now, right? That now the sigmas, the percentage that is decreasing, and it's again exponential.
And 03 just dropped by 80%.
01 dropped yesterday. 01 Pro dropped yesterday. And so if you look at that for performance, even compared to some of the other reasoning, again, it's a step change.
But it's the best thing was I forget who said it. I know I've met the guy once. Anyway,
we'll give credit.
The AI model is actually I should.
No, don't worry.
He's a former CTO of Facebook. I forget his name. Anyway, he built Quip. Anyway, he basically says this. It's the market is the way the AI market is right now is the human cost, say it was $100. The AI you charge $10, but it costs you less than $1. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the AI pricing model. But you realize it's not only 100 times less expensive to execute those tests by machine and AI today. It's also 10 to 20 times faster than the human. So, and then you start thinking, if it's faster, you can also deliver a lot more coverage. Mm-hmm. And so you've got multiple orders of magnitude of
stacked on top
better,
of each
faster,
other.
cheaper. Yeah. So it's inevitable. If it's my bots, it's somebody else's bots. This is inevitable. I just think the way to survive it is to fully embrace it more than I am. Yeah. And figure out.
That's a tough call, more than you.
More than me.
Wow. That's what I think, because I feel like I may be getting swamped by the end of the year, because this Manus or the next reasoning model may just do
Just
it all.
crack it open. And this is what we've not seen,
Like
right?
your stuff you're doing at work, right?
Yep.
Like
It's crazy.
you just type in a text box, say, hey, go create these things for me, and
And it just does it.
It just generates them.
And we had the same conversation with Adam, right? You know, part of it is these capabilities just coming on, a more valid use cases, right? And I think you're going to see more chains of these things happening. It's going to become more, flawless in what it's doing, right? But it's so much more scalable. And I think where I'm saying two side of things, right? I'm trying to play devil's advocate in a little bit, but I changed my job title to AI Wrangler, right? I feel like the future is you're going
Whisperer
to
was.
It was to Whisperer.
Oh, it
because
was.
you
He's
couldn't
changing
spell
him as well.
And,
As fast as AI, he's changing them.
But it is how you, like we said, we can't keep up with the pace of things are changing. Like I send you messages like you're at 4 a.m. You've already thought of something else. It was 4 a.m. on Friday when we spent that going, and we were just, all right, we can do something even bigger, right? And you saw the app with the ATM testing. Literally, you pull your phone out,
That
take
was
a shot at
surprising.
it,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, we'll try this. And you're like, but you can't do that. And you're like, well, turn around the corner, you can, right? So suddenly you're building that, and it's going from concept to someone's hand, someone's pocket in 24 hours, right?
And no one knows. This happens. This is
Yep.
possible today. Nobody wants to know, and
No.
they don't want to embrace it. So I'll finish with this comment on
Yep.
feed on that is, and I'm not trying to be doomsdayer. And by the way, it's not in the interest of marketing to say these things.
No.
It's actually genuinely I'm worried about other people that are got their head in the sand or just kind of dabbling. Curious. I think most work will actually very soon be just AI to AI. It'll be agents to agents. The AI agents will, you can download, on my site, you can download a thing, and if you have Cursor or Windsurf, you just download the things, and then you go, hey, build me my app, vibe code it, it starts building the app, then you type, test it for me, yo, and guess what it does? It tests it, and then it finds the bugs, sends them back to the agent, you've demoed this,
Yeah.
and you can say,
Live.
fix them, and guess what it does? It's crazy, it fixes them. Fixes the bugs that the test found, resolves it, and then guess what it does? It builds another build and sends it to the testers again, the AI testers. They find any more bugs that are regression from the last change or new issues it didn't see last time, and it sends them back. So really, the bulk of all activity will soon be agent to agent, and humans, I call them exceptional humans, because they'll handle exceptions. Developers handle exceptions when the AI screws up, and there'll be exceptional testers, some of them, that handle big problems or like, hey, what's missing from this entire test suite, or there's some disaster they come in. But the bulk of all this will just be AI to AI, and it's demonstrable and downloadable and free today. You can see all that whole loop happening today. It's just people want to inject themselves in the loop, and they're the ones slowing down the adoption, and they're the ones slowing down this virtuous loop.
You just broke me a little bit there, because extrapolating, like, what are the next steps for that? Because you're talking about developing the app, but I don't know, next iPhone 20 something may say like, yeah, now I need an app for this, and for this, and that for this, and it's not even like the app. It's like,
Well, you don't need.
You know what it's gonna
on
do?
the go
You know what
app.
you're gonna do? I think there's gonna be two phases. I get super excited.
Not even an app.
But we're in trouble on time, but okay, let's say this. I
This
think
is interesting.
Two things to be super nerdy about. We
Yeah.
talked a little bit about it. Was the other night was I think like I was just talking with Melissa, and she's like, oh, and I have an idea, but then the AI can do it all. I'm like, no, you don't have the ideas. Ask it for app ideas,
Yep.
and then the AI will come up with app ideas and generate them.
And find a market for it.
And it'll build 5 to 100 different versions of that app, and it can push to the App Store and
Market
flight them and
Yep.
see whichever one gets adoption. So I think there'll be new app factories. I think I've heard of this before. This might be my original thought, but it's probably not that clever. But there'll be companies that just build tons of apps, and guess how you make sure not just they're tested, that they're interesting, is you have simulated users testing it. So you see, hey, there's a new app. It looks at the app, goes, the simulated teenager goes, yeah, I don't know about that. The color's off, or it's confusing UI, or stupid, or whatever.
Onboarding's
But
too
you
long,
get
yeah.
real feedback from simulated people to figure out what to build, and then which variation is the most interesting one. And when humans come in, I don't know. The human has the checking account.
You know what is weird in this scenario? Like, remove the App Store, remove the tested simulations, the simulations of testers,
Yep.
and it's just you and the AI, and give me an app
Yes.
simulate
Yes.
myself. What
Yes,
do I
yes,
need?
yes.
And bring up an app like this. It's tested. It's for you.
Yep.
It's like
And
tailored
it's
suited.
hyper personalized. You know, the cool thing you can do is with ChatGPT, you can say, hey, generate, like you can just ask it any question. At the end, if you say, generate the HTML that would represent this response, it generates a web page that shows it. So if you say the answer is like a giraffe and it's whatever tall, it can return HTML that has a link to a picture of a giraffe with the answer.
Yep.
So really, I think, yeah, you're right. I think that the future of apps is really just,
No
it's
app.
it's just
There's
too
like
slow
pure
to,
app.
No apps, yeah.
there's no app, it just generates
the
a visual
AI can
interface.
speed
for
up this
humans.
process?
But I would say
Wow.
one thing. I know we're running out of time.
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
you know,
we're wrapping up soon.
what I said in my talk about actually it's widening the gap between juniors and seniors. You know, it's not shortening. It's not giving the capabilities to people who are not that smart, right? You know, and I know that sounds really awful, but if you're starting out your career and you don't have the domain expertise, you don't have the, you know, the context around different industries and healthcare or automotive experience, it's actually harder to get that experience because it's already there, and those wranglers are going to be people who do have that extra value they can bring. And I am concerned about the newer generation coming into this because they're going to think, well, you know, I'll use AI to give me these capabilities.
Productivity will just go up, and then they'll just won't have to work.
I know.
And they'll just be playing. They'll just like go on Netflix, and it will just generate 5 Batmans for them that afternoon, and they'll just watch Batman all day. Different movies.
What show do I need?
Pick the
What,
actors. Yeah. I
Perfect.
think.
Oh wow! And I'm starting to doubt that gap between junior and senior, because the same AI will start to dilute that.
Yep.
You're starting to get me thinking on
When
some
it goes
of the things.
wrong, with what Jonathan says, when it goes wrong, like when I was vibe coding that thing this weekend,
Yep.
that app, sometimes it just, there were problems and things were not working right. I had to look at the code and go like, oh, I've built some apps before, I know what it's confused about, and then manually fix or tweak it or ask it the right question,
But
or
when-
switch to Windsurf,
Midsworth, yeah.
and then I got past that. But somebody that hadn't built apps before wouldn't have known to do that.
Yep.
No,
So
but you have those expert eyes. Imagine that eventually it's like I have another the expert
Oh, as it gets
eyes
better,
AI.
yeah, in the near term.
That is
I'm
gonna-
I'm just saying with Jonathan, I think in the near term, it hurts the junior entry level people. Is going to be actually not as enabled.
But even the need of the
but it's
senior
gonna-
level.
But yeah, but that level up is going to quickly. I mean, it's going to quickly surpass you.
Yeah.
And so that level, that high watermark is going to keep rising very quickly, more quickly than we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily worth differentiating between these strata, because we're all going to be in the same boat pretty soon. Like the latest OpenAI models, it might cost $2,000 a query right now, but that'll drop exponentially. But it is like I don't know what it was, the top 50th coder in the world.
Planet, yep.
It's gonna be like better than the number 1 coder in the world eventually, and then what?
Or even then, if the 50th best, even if it just never got better,
Yep.
the 50th best programmer, people figuring out how to use that AI programmer agent, there'll be a lot of great software.
And just to finish off a little bit, you said it in your talk, right? There was a reckoning date which none of us paid any attention to literally last year, where suddenly their ability to self-check themselves surpassed the human's ability to do it. And I think no one celebrated, no one talked about it, but now its ability to check, test its own output.
I believe
is
that most
phenomenal.
of mankind
Yeah.
didn't see the implications of those type of things, and it's like, oh sure, it checks itself, but when you get deeper into like, we kind of understand a little bit like the implication, like, oh damn, this is huge, and it's gonna get huger, if that's a term.
But you hit it,
And
you hit it here
the key
first.
flywheel is that, which what the frontier models advantage they have right now is that they were using humans. Remember, everyone's like going, oh, they're using all the humans to label stuff, and it uses like specific words that were, anyway, there were locales specific.
The biases there.
Yeah, the biases. But there's a paper, and they're doing it now, that they still ask people for checking every so often, but they actually just ask the older model what the answer is, and it's more reliable and more correct often than the humans. So not only is it like 2 orders of magnitude less expensive and 2 orders of magnitude faster, it's better. So you can train the new models on with just AI instead of the humans in the loop. So humans are already out of the loop on training the AI things. And the crazy part about that is, sorry, Leo.
No, it's great, because, no.
Okay.
You're bringing so many points that all day it has been this bias towards like be careful with it. Because, I mean, you're making me think that we are way beyond that point of like it's already rocketing up.
A lot of farmers didn't like tractors. They already bought an ox and a plow. So, but my point in that is that basically that's testing work and high level testing work. But it's already completely automated, and that means that the AI for the next sprint here can self-test. And the key to unlocking better AI is actually, ironically, testing. It's all testing. They call it evals, but it's called the most crude test suite on the planet is what it is. But it's testing, because the AI needs to be able to test itself to make itself better. And we're not doing a great job in the eval world today, but as the AI can start to generate its own evals and test itself, this means that you just throw more compute at it and it just gets smarter. In fact, when we interfere, and I'm already seeing this in my code.
Yeah, I'm slow.
When I interfere, not only am I slowing it down, but I make it dumber.
Yeah.
Like, really, I should just yield to the machine.
Dumber, racist, and some other things that we are putting into
I think, I know this to be true, and this is a great pattern, but guess what? I'm not the 50th best programmer in the world, so why am I?
But you're bringing that with the 50th best programmer or number one in the world, even beyond on the 50th best tester. When it gets to the number one in the world, it comes with like strategies, test plans, and droughts too, that no one would have even, like, not even the 5-year-old or 95-year-old user.
Yeah, ASI.
Like, and when you take those elements out of the loop and the speed, what things are going to start.
And I think that the whole point, as we're kind of closing off, is at the moment these frontier models aren't designed to do testing, right? But it's not going to take long, whether it be Anthropic or whoever, to say we're actually going to introduce this capability, and suddenly whoever unlocks it will potentially unlock that entire area. I mean, it might most likely be you.
This is what we were arguing about. So if you want to see, this is not marketing, but actually, I'm really putting my money where my mouth is, at least, is that I literally am working on just doing this automation stuff with AI agents. But for the most part, like, I'm actually, it's with full hubris. There's going to be a Arbon bot soon here, finally, and that will be embedded in the IDEs through MCP and this stuff. So I will just be testing your app. That's my goal. So people use the JSON bot, and it's encoded.
AI bot. Don't forget him. He's cheaper.
Having it embedded and encoded,
it's cheaper. He doesn't need the reasoning model.
No reason. You turn the thinking off. You save yourself on the
The
credits.
non-critical thinker.
Non-critical thinker. Yeah.
Now that we are in the jokes territory, we'll take this opportunity to wrap things up.
Actually, we should just have those two.
Yeah, we're going to.
I don't do the quantum
They
stuff.
only need to do.
I don't do quantum, and I don't do
I
specifications.
need to give this to a show so that they can argue.
And I'll do that stuff, right?
And I'll just do the clicky.
Clicky, checky. No testing.
John,
checking
you
here.
saw it here.
Sorry, we finished.
Everybody,
Two bots to rule the world.
here you have two awesome
got the
guys
domains.
We
in
got
the
the
AI
domains.
realm
We'll just
trying to
stay
figure
great.
out the things on the go. And if you let them wild, this
really
happens. I've seen this so many times.
Oh, sorry.
And no, I'm kind of wrapping up while you are having a good argument.
bromance.
But I really think that you two should put together a podcast show or something to keep this bouncing, because these conversations.
Well, that's
Nobody
the,
would listen.
That's the world announcement we've not done. First on your show, we're doing a book, which he's already said that he's written, and it's Melissa's going to also add into it. So is Jano. So is Dorothy's going to do the
Book is
forward.
so old school.
I know, but it might be something that's auto-living,
Just
right?
making it. I had a chat with Rahul, but I told him, he's thinking about doing a new book. I said, just make every chapter just a giant
A QR,
prompt.
just
No,
a
a giant prompt, and no one realizes it. It's like it's just a prompt. So if you just put that prompt
And
in,
it runs on the
would
Kindle
do, It
locally,
would do the
right?
testing they're talking about.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it's just,
That's it, it's done.
every chapter.
Drop all tables. It'll just be like a.
They are talking
It's
too many
an
of their
MCP.
plans
The first of every chapter
online,
is, you
and it's
are
being
an
streamed.
intelligent software tester, very experienced.
Okay, everybody, this has been our amigos Jason and Jonathan, both with a J, it scrambles me a little bit.
never be doing
And
public.
stay tuned, because this is not over. As you can see, all these awesome conversations. If you were here, you would listen to these two
hours.
live for hours, because they have been going for, not hours, days.
days.
I know when you arrived here. So stay tuned, because this is the end of the interviews of day one of AICon USA 2025. We're going to have the raffle, the passports, and everything that run in a few minutes. So stay tuned. This is not over yet for today, but at least with the interviews, amigos, I really, really appreciate this discussion, and
I love it,
you're
Sandro.
opening
Thank
my
you
eyes.
very
Yeah, yeah,
much,
yeah. I really
because then I get to see the world through your eyes when you do these things. I super appreciate it.
I really appreciate that you give those shout outs, and stay tuned as well. The amigo Jason keeps pushing so many cool things. I love all the things that you're publishing and pushing, and I'm looking forward to that JSON bot that you're gonna be having out soon.
I have a Senor Performo.
We have it on camera. We agreed on that.
I know.
Yeah,
I have one.
Stay tuned. It's coming.
I have one local. It's an unlock.
Okay. Everybody, thank you very much, and we'll be back soon with the raffle and passport run. For now, Jonathan and Jason, out. Adios, everybody.
Adios.
Take care.
We'll never go out in
Tequila.
public again.